All right, Amber. Uh,
Yep.
30 seconds. Time after time.
You are listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people. WLXU 93.9 LP FM, Lexington, Kentucky.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome everybody to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening to us on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, or you can download the Radio Lex app on your smartphone device. I am broadcasting from the Radio Lex studio here in Lexington, and Amber is broadcasting from her house. Amber, you know, I am driving to the studio by myself, so my routine is different than how it usually is because you're driving with me, or you're riding with me, rather. But today I decided to stop and get me something to eat on the way to the studio, and I'm just here to tell you, those two-lane drive-thrus are going to be the death of people. I don't know why they even created those things.
Well, now I'm curious. Did you go to McDonald's? Is that where you went?
Yes.
That's the one that gets me every time.
Yes, and it does nothing but cause problems. It does nothing but cause controversy between the people trying to fight for who's going to get to go first after they order. And
Yes.
it's people constantly skipping in front of you, and you always got one person in front of you who takes too long to order. But in my particular case, I've got somebody that's working at my local McDonald's that is extremely slow, and he takes forever to take anybody's order. It took me, literally the other morning, it took me like 3 minutes to order a sausage cheese biscuit because he couldn't wrap his head around that I wanted cheese on my sausage biscuit. And I said, yeah, bro, it's called a sausage cheese biscuit. And he was, I don't know, it was really throwing him for a loop. But those two-lane drive-thrus will get you whooped.
I was going to say, like, what's your trigger? Because I can tell you what my trigger is. You know what? If I got to wait about 5 minutes, I'm good with that. I'm good. It's when I get to that little V where you have to merge together.
Yeah.
And I look over and it's like the old man in, the big van is like staring at me like he's going to run me over like he's a big Mack truck and I'm a little ant. And I'm like, it's okay, man. I won't steal your food. I promise. But in that moment, I get mad.
I think
and I'm like, I'm getting in front of you.
I think that my boiling point is when I know that that it's our time to go, but I'm having to wait on somebody else. Like there's room for people to pull up, but the guy in front of me is texting on his phone so he won't pull up. And because of that, I lose my space in line. So it's just a big mess. And one day, I've yet to see it, but one day I will, and probably you will too, and a lot of our listeners will see a knockdown, drag-out fight at a two-lane drive-through fast food place sometime or the other.
Not if everybody would get on their game like Chick-fil-A. Have you went through the Chick-fil-A two-way drive-through?
No.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
What makes it so good?
They're very efficient. They've got people out there that kind of direct you on. Like, you just know that you can't act a fool because people are watching you.
But what happened? What happened just to the one lane drive-through where people just get behind one another and everybody? There was no problems with that. I don't know why suddenly they decided to do the two lane. I understand to eliminate a little bit of traffic, but it really does do nothing but cause trouble.
It don't do nothing but cause trouble and aggravation. And honestly, I avoid restaurants that have the two-way drive-through because I'm like, there's not enough. Like, I don't love this Big Mac enough to deal with all this stress. Like, your Coke's good, but not that good.
Amber, it is October the 29th. Last year, we did a Halloween special show because Halloween just so happened to fall on a Thursday, so we dedicated a whole episode to Halloween last year on the show. You can go check that out in our archives. It's called the Halloween Special 2019. It was a great show. We talked about everything Halloween. Well, flash forward a year later, here we are. It's October the 29th. This day doesn't really fall on Halloween, but this technically could be considered our Halloween episode. We're not going to really be as Halloween themed as we were last year, but yeah, just in a couple days, Saturday as a matter of fact, is Halloween. I absolutely love Halloween. You know that. It's my favorite time of the year. I love the decorations. The tackier the decorations, the better. The skeletons.
I can vouch for that, guys.
The witches, the spider webs, the scarecrows. I love it. And I love it when people still embrace Halloween and put up the decorations. I love it when I go by and I see the what is it? It's the leaves in the bags where people.
Oh, the pumpkin trash bags.
It's not really those. I'm talking about when people put leaves in actual human clothes and it makes it look like a real person standing there.
Adam, that was a poor thing that we did in Eastern Kentucky. I don't think that's a commonly done thing. I think we did that because we were poor.
No. You mean to tell me that? Wait. So you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. I used to do it.
You take like work clothes, like your daddy's work clothes, and you stuff it full of leaves, and then you set it out in your yard, and it looks like there's somebody standing in the yard because it looks like a human body in those clothes.
Now, I don't know. Like, I know that we did it, but that was just something that I thought was just a poor thing that we done because we couldn't afford to like have like real scarecrows.
Now that you mention it, I haven't seen the bags of leaves with people dressed as people here in Lexington. You only really do see the pumpkins with the bags of leaves. Those are cool too.
Those are cool. No disrespect to them, but I did enjoy. Now, when did you stop making those? Because I can tell you the last time I made a person scarecrow.
Well, it was when I was a child, so it takes me back to my childhood days when I was doing that. Particularly, the time it stands out to me is my dad doing it years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
What I love about Halloween also is the fact that there are several Halloween specials on TV around this time. TV sitcoms are always showing their Halloween special from the past, and it made me start thinking about all of these TV sitcoms that we watched growing up. They used to put on some really good Halloween specials. Do you remember Roseanne and all of those awesome Halloween shows that they did?
Those were the best. The best. Hands down, Roseanne's Halloween specials, the best.
Yes, because they were spooky, they were hilarious, and it really just, it was ate up with Halloween, and it really just engulfed you into that Halloween vibe when you watch the Roseanne Halloween episodes. Family Matters always put on excellent Halloween shows. I remember they kind of did the knockoff of Chucky where they had a evil Steve Urkel doll chasing Steve Urkel around.
Wasn't he like a little... Wasn't it like the Steve Urkel doll, though, that like I think we all got to have? It looked very... Or was it like a ventriloquist dummy?
It was kind of like a ventriloquist. I do remember the Urkel doll, but no, it was the ventriloquist, whatever you call it, dummy.
Okay.
And that was cool. But can you think of any TV sitcoms from your past, besides Roseanne and Family Matters, that used to put on amazing Halloween specials?
Oh, gosh, not off the top of my head.
Fresh Prince always did really good ones because it's not hard to do Halloween themed episodes. You just got to make it real spooky and throw in a bunch of decorations and people will eat it up.
Well, I think Mama's Family had probably one of my favorites, and it was literally just Thelma scared herself because it was Halloween, and I was like, that's such a grandma thing to do. She just worked herself up in a tizzy.
Well, in light of the Halloween spirit, if that's even a thing, a Halloween spirit, but in light of the Halloween holiday, which is coming up on October the 31st, here are some Halloween facts for you to enjoy. Some Halloween rituals, Amber, used to involve finding a husband. Now, this dated back to the 18th century, and thank God that we went away with that kind of tradition. But it says here that during the 18th century, ladies would follow Halloween traditions that would help them find a romantic match. Women would throw apple peels over their shoulder, hoping to see their future husband's initials. And then also, women would competitively bob for apples, and the winner was going to be the next one to get married. So that's kind of like how it is with which is a very,
bouquet.
with the bouquet, but women bobbing for apples, and the winner of the woman who can bob the best in water gets married next. It makes sense if you think about it.
I mean, I've been trying to think about it for the last 30 seconds, and I'm just not connecting these dots together. But you know what? Have at it.
It says Halloween is the second largest commercial holiday in the country. It comes after Christmas. It says consumers spend approximately $9 billion on Halloween every year. There's a lot of candy and costumes that go out, which can accumulate to a lot of money over time.
Oh, yeah, it can.
This year, Halloween 2020 will be the first Halloween in 19 years to have a full moon, because full moons on Halloween are very rare. I mean, the last time there was a full moon on October 31st, it was 2001. And before that, it was 1955. So here in 2020, we're going to have a full moon.
Definitely not what we need in 2020.
Monster Mash once reigned supreme on the Billboard charts. School is where you heard Monster Mash a ton. If you went to elementary school, if you didn't hear Monster Mash, you didn't have a good grade school experience.
I think we played it the whole month of October.
It was by Bobby Pickett, and he reached #1. It was a #1 hit. Some artists never get to achieve that accomplishment, and Bobby Boris, with that Monster Mash Halloween hit, it was a #1 smash hit in 1962. That's amazing.
A great song. We still listen to it today, so it obviously withstood the test of time.
The Michael Myers mask in Halloween has a fascinating backstory behind it. It says here that it's originated really from the William Shatner mask from Star Trek, and really it is the William Shatner mask. The only thing that the producers of Halloween did was make the eyes a little bit bigger, and that's pretty much all he had to do, and made it look a little bit more worn out.
Yeah.
And there you go. That's the William Shatner mask. So if you go and watch Star Trek, you'll see Michael Myers just be bopping around.
Oh, that would be weird, but now I'm going to have to do it.
The fastest pumpkin carving lasted 16.47 seconds. How in the world does a person carve a pumpkin in 16.47 seconds?
Somebody hollowed that out for them. They never done that.
I mean, it's a fact. It says Stephen Clark holds that honor. Carving pumpkins, it's a huge tradition.
What did he carve in it? Just one, stab through it, and that was it?
No. In order to successfully carve a pumpkin and it count, it said that it had to have a completed face, including eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. You literally had to finish it, and a person carved it within 16 seconds. Have you ever carved a pumpkin before?
Yes.
It's tough. Really
tough.
It's
like 16 hours for me.
Yes. I mean, on average, it takes... A lot of people just give up on them.
I do.
Because they're really difficult. So that's what makes that so impressive. The top Halloween candy is Skittles. That's the most sold Halloween candy every year, which makes sense. A city in Canada banned teens over 16 from trick-or-treating. That says that if anyone is caught trick-or-treating over the age of 16 wearing a mask, it is a $200 fine. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
When is the age, though, to when people should stop trick-or-treating?
I think honestly when you go into high school, and honestly that's me pushing it, I would say probably when you go into traditional middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I would say about that time it's probably about time to stop.
Yeah, but that's pretty much your Halloween facts. I know we were very short with them, and it's because we talked about a lot of this stuff already on last year's show. So if you want to go back and listen to a very fun Halloween-themed show, it's in our archives, the Halloween Special 2019. But I do love this time of year. It's the spooky time. It's when people get together, watch scary movies, tell ghost stories. Amber, do you have any ghost stories that you want to share with the audience off the top of your head?
What? I don't know. Cleaning my bathroom. That's a horror story in itself.
But ghost stories in general, I think people enjoy hearing ghost stories because people like genuinely getting scared.
Hey, do you remember the book that we used to read in elementary school? It was called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I do.
Okay, so we actually purchased that whole, I think it was a whole collection set. And there are a few in there. I'm just going to tell you my favorite one. Do you remember the Big Toe story?
No.
Okay, so guys, here's what me and Adam are going to do. I'm going to make him read the Big Toe story.
Okay. Is it the Fee Fi Fo Fum one?
I
No.
mean, no,
No.
that's Jack and the Beanstalk.
Well, people love ghost stories because people genuinely like getting scared. It's just something
Yes.
about getting scared, getting freaked out, freaking yourself out. The scariest story I think that I've ever heard was from a friend of mine in high school. And a friend of mine was telling me a story. It wasn't even a Halloween story. He wasn't trying to scare me. But I remember him telling me this story. And to date, even me thinking about this story right now, it puts chills on me thinking about it because it freaks me out. But I remember one morning I got on the bus and my friend's brother had passed away about 2 years prior to this story. And he was telling me that his mom and him still lived in the house that him and his brother lived in. And he said that he woke up one night around 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and he smelt his brother's cologne. And he said it was strong enough to where he had to get up out of bed and go into the bathroom to check to see if there wasn't any cologne bottles that spilled off of the cabinet, off of the shelf. And there wasn't.
Yeah.
And he went to go check on his mom about 5 seconds after that. And he went into his mom's bedroom. She wasn't in there. So where she was sleeping in his brother's room, who had just recently died. And he was telling me that the room was very cold, and he said that it was freezing to where he had chill bumps on his arm, and his mom was freezing in the bed and shaking, and that you could literally see her breath.
Oh, gosh.
And it was in his dead brother's room. And I remember thinking, you know, you hear about the Sixth Sense, and I know it's just a movie, and it talks about, you know, when it's cold, that's when the spirits are there, and it just, that I remember. It scared me to death, and it was probably because it was early in the morning and it was still dark outside, and just the way he told me, it freaked me out. But hearing stories like that, people love hearing that kind of stuff. They do.
Yeah, well, until you have to experience it.
Which I never have.
I have.
You've
I
experienced a scary moment in your life before where it's been ghost-related.
Yes, Wiley and I were staying at the Martha Washington Inn and Spa in Abingdon, Virginia, beautiful place. And we had a whole nother day that we were going to stay day and night. I woke up. This is a very haunted hotel. There's a lot of literature about it. And there was something sitting in the chair. And I like to think of myself as being pretty practical. And I rolled over and I told Wiley, we have to go because there's someone sitting in that chair.
And you guys left?
We left. We started the trek back. It's about a 5.5 hour drive, but I wouldn't stay in there no more.
You saw somebody, and you know for a fact it was.
Yes, because I sat there for a good 5 minutes and like kind of talked to myself because I was like, oh my gosh, Wiley and I just got together. Like I can't let him see my crazy just yet.
Not yet.
So like I did. I sincerely sat there for about 5 minutes and I was like I was moving my head like just to make sure it wasn't like my eyes or lighting. No, there was something in that chair.
Very spooky. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got lots more off the cuff coming at you live after these words. We'll be right back.
The voice of the people. WLXU 93.9 FM, Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington's Division of Water Quality reminds everyone nothing but toilet paper and human waste should be flushed down the toilet. Toilet paper is in short supply. People are relying on alternatives such as baby wipes, flushable wipes, and paper towels. These items do not break down and can clog home and city sewer lines and damage the city's pump stations. Find more information on Facebook at Live Green Lexington and on Twitter and Instagram at Live Green Lex.
against in housing? Have you been told they won't rent to someone with children? Have you been treated differently because of your national origin? These are just a few examples of housing discrimination. The Lexington Human Rights Commission wants you to know your rights. You can visit lexhumanrights.org to file a complaint online or call 859-252-4931. We're local and there is no cost for our services. The Lexington Human Rights Commission. Your choice, your right, your home.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Amber Turner is also joining me. Before we took our break, we were talking about getting scared to death by ghosts or ghost stories. I've never really experienced a ghost experience where I have seen a ghost or felt like there was a ghost present with me, but too many people have the same similar story, and there's got to be something to that. And I think until you get freaked out and until you see a ghost, I don't think it changes you. I think you're truly a believer once you actually have that experience.
Once you feel that petrifying feeling of, oh my God, there is somebody in that chair, that's when things kind of change. Scary movies aren't as fun watching them alone anymore as they used to be.
No, not at all. But also something very scary approaching is Election Day, and it's actually happening in just, 4 days? No, are we 4 days away from the general election?
I think 5 days.
5 days away. So November the 4th is, or is it November the 3rd? November the 3rd. So November the 3rd, Tuesday, is the national general election where we are voting for president of the United States, and we're voting for senator, we're voting for judges, all kinds of offices. And usually the presidential election is the biggest turnout, and I'm hoping for a big turnout this year. There's already been a lot of people that's voted, hence you see my sticker. I voted absentee ballot. You guys know that. Amber voted today. Amber, how was that early voting process? I never did get to experience. You did. What was that like?
So we actually voted yesterday, and we went to one of the library locations here in town. We got there at about 8:25. We lined up at the door. Everybody socially distanced themselves, and we were in and out in about 10 minutes. And every person that I encountered was absolutely positive and pleasant. So I asked as I was walking out, I said, why ain't every polling location like this during all the other elections? And they all kind of giggled, but I probably would say this is my best experience ever voting given the circumstances. And at the same time, I was like, man, do we have to go back to the way it used to be?
And do you think that it made your experience better because of the lack of people that was present?
No, I think it was just overall, nobody hated their life while they were there. I feel like Election Day should be something that we celebrate because we are, this is our one chance to go out and kind of exercise our voice. And I feel like every year in all of the polling locations that I've ever been to, at least, everybody's always in a bad mood. And I'm like, well, dang, this was my thunder for the day to come and vote, and y'all over here mad about something. So it was just nice to see that people were cheerful, wanted you to be there. They wanted us to be there and voting.
Yes. Yeah. And I do. I hope this is something that sticks around. I hope that early voting continues to be a trend. And I think it will. Eventually, I think that the in-person voting will decline throughout the years because of the virtual world that we live in.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the habits that we've picked up because of COVID-19, everything being virtual, I think that's going to continue on into the new normal.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
And that's just going to change the way we vote. But I'm glad that you had a good experience. And it's hard to believe that at the end of the day, here it is, we are pretty much getting ready to go vote. It's almost over. And we've been talking about it for months now. And November 3rd, we're going to know who the President of the United States is. And I say we're going to know, like they're going to announce that day. And we don't even know if they're going to announce that day. We anticipate that they will. But we're gearing up for it in just a couple days. Are you excited?
I am very excited, actually. I told you on the last show, election night has a feel to it, and I'm excited for it.
It does. It usually lasts till about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, unless there's just a clear-cut winner, and there's really not been a clear-cut winner in a long time. I mean, I want to say the last time we had a clear-cut winner pretty quickly was, I want to say that Bill Clinton beat George Bush really bad, and then Clinton also beat his opponent the second time really bad. But after that, really, the elections went up till around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning after that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
They've been neck and neck.
Neck and neck, and that's when it's exciting. And I've been filling out these interactive maps, and these interactive maps are really cool. You just touch it, and it turns red or blue, whatever you want it to change to, and you get to pick of who you think is going to win the state, and then it tallies up the electoral votes for each candidate, and it's got up at the top their total, and it really puts in perspective how close this race is going to be. I really don't know who's going to win.
No, I don't think anybody does, and I think that's why people are kind of thrown for a loop, is we don't have a clear-cut person that we think is going to win going into this one.
But the question is, what will a post-election America look like? Will it be violent? Will it be better off? Will it be peaceful? What is a post-election America? What does that look like?
What do you think it looks like? Because honestly, I don't really have like a formulated opinion yet.
On November 4th, that's on a Wednesday, and that's the day after the election. I'm hoping that I think that emotions are still going to be high 24 hours after the election. I think that emotions will be high 48, 72 hours after the election, and probably a week or two. But eventually, things will calm down. I think that everybody, it's just like when your sports team loses. You get mad for a couple days, and then you get over it. We are America. And at the end of the day, we are going to be fine. We are Americans. And at the end of the day, we're going to be strong and we know how to survive. So I'm not worried about it. Regardless of who takes it on November the 3rd, we in America, we will be fine. We're too strong, and we've worked too hard to make this the greatest country in the world to let one person bring it down.
Oh, yeah. I think Banks 2024. It's a good run. Campaign slogan.
Yeah, and the campaigning is slowly starting to come to an end. Of course, they campaign all the way to the polls close, but the last debate happened. We opened up the show really talking about that last week, and I was anticipating that mute button to get out of hand, but it didn't. And really, the debate was pretty boring. I don't have any key takeaways from the debate unless you wanted to say something about it.
No, unfortunately, I didn't. It was not what I anticipated.
And it's not going to be, but thank God that we never have to watch either one of these candidates ever run for anything again. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take Off the Cuff's Song of the Week break. So enjoy this Halloween-themed song, and we'll be right back.
Last night,
Nothing like a little Halloween music to perk up your day. It's definitely Halloween time, and you can definitely feel it in the air. We were talking about ghost stories earlier, and Amber, you kind of shared one of your most haunting experiences that you've ever had, and you were talking about seeing some type of figure in a hotel room.
Something in the chair.
Something in the chair. It was an old lady.
Something in the chair.
Why is it always an old lady that people see when they see stuff?
Well, I never said it was an old lady, but I think it's just because most old ladies I've encountered are pretty scary.
No, they are, aren't they? Why is
Yes.
it that old ladies are so freaky? They're so scary.
I think it's just because they dealt with enough like throughout their life that they literally just don't care anymore. Like, I love it when I think My Name is Earl portrays a character. She was just mean growing up, and she was like, well, actually, I really was just a witch, so now I'm going to steal your soul.
Well, anytime you see a scary movie really want to scare people, they use an old lady to do it.
Yes, they do. And it works every time.
One of the most freaked outs I've ever been, and it's not really a ghost story. I've already shared my scariest ghost story that I've ever heard, but one of the scariest things I really ever experienced was when I was in college. I remember there was this man in Moorhead that used to collect dolls, and he used to collect baby dolls, and he used to take like life-size Barbies. Do you remember those life-size Barbies? He used to have those, and he used to have probably 50, 60, 100 of them hanging up all over his house, all over his barn. It looked like something straight up off of a horror movie. And my friends and I got the big idea on Halloween one day that we wanted to go and touch his barn, where he has all of his, and he calls them his victims. He calls his dolls his victims, where he has all of his...
Did you know that before you went there? That
We
he
did.
calls his dolls his victims?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure me and the audience understand what you've done.
But we went, and on our way to touch that barn, we heard a door open, and it was probably his house, and somebody come out on the porch and said, "Get away from there!" And it scared me so much. I really did. I mean, I don't know. I've never really been that much more scared in my entire life. But people who are from Moorhead know who I'm talking about. This man who collects dolls and hangs them up. It really is freaky. And
I'm just so curious. Why did you go? Like, I sincerely want to know, why'd you go?
I don't know. It kind of backs up my statement earlier saying that people just like to be scared. And I think that we
True.
just wanted to be scared. It was Halloween. We wanted to freak ourselves out. It's like why people watch scary movies.
Well,
There's
but at
something
least a
about.
scary movie, I can turn it off. You put yourself in the movie,
Ooh, it's a
like
rush though.
inside the movie.
It's a rush. It is.
Better you than me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got lots more off the cuff coming up after these words. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
We're listening to Radio Lex, the voice of the people, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
Wash your hands, stay home, cover your cough. It's our new reality with COVID-19, and that means calling ahead instead of going directly to a doctor or hospital if you're sick. It means being more patient. We're all in this together, and we all have a role in preventing the spread. So, prepare, focus on the essentials, protect, keep some space from people outside your home, and disinfect a lot. Get the facts at kycovid19.ky.gov. Prepare, protect, disinfect.
Radio Lex has the support of SRC of Lexington, an employee-owned remanufacturing company that has been local since 2009. SRC refurbishes construction and mining equipment, engines, transmissions, axles, hydraulic pumps, and more for resale to other businesses. SRC supports the community through philanthropy and volunteering. To learn more, you can visit srclexington.com or follow on Facebook at SRC of Lexington. SRC is proud to support Radio Lex, the voice of the people.
Do you know that your car is worth more than the no thank you just got from a dealer? Turn nothing into something powerful by donating that car to Radio Lex. All you need is the title and we'll take care of the rest. It's safe, fast, and easy, and you may qualify for a tax deduction. Your generous donation will help fuel the programming on WLXU and WLXL. Go to radiolex.us/car.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Amber is also joining me. How creepy is this music, Amber?
Very creepy. I think this is one of the only movies that really scared me.
This movie, The Exorcist, really scared the bejesus out of people. They put cameras in the screening of this movie back when it was released, and there were people that were watching this movie. They caught on camera screaming and crying and banging on the doors of the theater trying to get out because this movie was scaring them so bad, and with good reason. The Exorcist, it's about a little girl, Linda Blair, getting possessed by the devil, and there are some parts in this movie that really are freaky, especially when when the little girl is walking down the steps backwards with her head turned around.
Yeah, I think that's one of the tamer scenes. But yeah, I think they took it a little too far with some of the things that they depicted in this movie.
Martin on the show thread says, last good horror film you both saw. I love the old classics like Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, and Halloween. Yeah, of course, I like those classics. I'm more of a Scream fan, though, Martin. The Sidney Prescott, the Gail Weathers, and the Dewey Riley characters. I'm very excited and anticipating Scream 5 to be released sometime in 2021. Amber, what's your favorite scary movie?
My favorite scary movie, now I love Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, but I really enjoyed Insidious. I think that's been my newest kind of horror movie, and I'm going to say Insidious. Yeah, that one takes it.
Well, one of the biggest horror films will happen on November the on November
What
the
are you
3rd.
doing?
I never can remember what day election is on. So I can't throw a good zinger in there if I don't have the date memorized. But I was going to say on November the 3rd, it's also going to be a horror movie because that's election day. But
Oh, geez.
I've set myself up for failure there.
Yeah.
I've been keeping the theme on every episode talking about different presidential facts, and I've chosen something every episode to speak on when it comes to the presidency. And I'm going to continue that trend today.
Okay.
And Amber, this might be one of the last times the audience gets to hear presidential facts for at least 4 years until our next election, and that's a long time away. But we're going to do it at least one more time right here, right now. So for the audience,
Excited.
I'm going to tell you guys the perks that a U.S. president has while in office, and I'm also going to tell you the perks that a U.S. president has once he leaves office. So let's talk about the president when he gets into office. And you know the president lives a very lavish lifestyle anyway. But the U.S. president gets paid an annual salary of $400,000 a year. He's also granted a $50,000 annual expense account, a $100,000 non-taxable travel account, and a $19,000 budget for entertainment. A lot of people hear that and they're like, well, 400 grand isn't a lot of money. Yes, it is. And what planet are you from when you say 400 grand a year isn't a lot of money? That really makes me laugh when people say, that's not really a lot of money. Well, do you make 400 grand a year?
No.
No. Another perk that a president gets $100,000 for redecorating the White House. The residents have access to the White House's gardens, fresh fruits and vegetables, and if you've ever grew up on a garden, you really appreciate that perk.
Yes.
Presidents get to have food cooked and baked by an executive chef and an executive pastry chef. On-hand cooks and housekeepers help out around the house. Of course, the president has access to Air Force One, which we've talked about in the archives. They get access to their own helicopter, their own limo. They live in the luxurious White House, which we've talked about in the archives. And that alone is enough perks to want to be president,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think so too. So once the president leaves office, Amber, the perks don't stop.
Okay.
So think about all of these living presidents that are still around. They still have access to these perks. All former presidents, once they leave office, they get their own presidential library. And in that library, they get to set up their own executive office. And they get to choose anywhere in the country to where they want to put this library. So the office of the president can be anywhere, or of the former president can be anywhere in the country, and they can have their presidential library anywhere in the country. So, of course, I'd probably put mine somewhere, probably in Eastern Kentucky, because that's where I'm born, or where I'm from. So I would probably put my presidential library overlooking the mountains, or something like that.
That would be pretty.
It would be. Retired presidents receive the perk for life. I'm talking about Secret Service security. The retired presidents, they receive Secret Service security for the rest of their life, and their children are protected until they are 16 years old. Former presidents also get a vacation budget. Former presidents get access to premier health insurance, but only two-term presidents get this access. And I don't know if that's been overturned since this was written, but if that's the case, George H.W. doesn't get that premier health insurance, which makes no sense to me. I mean, if you're a former president, you should get it regardless of how many years of service you're in the office, wouldn't you say?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you would think so, but maybe they had to put some type of stipulation on it because they wouldn't be able to afford it. Everybody got it.
Presidents still get a salary once they leave office. That's called a hefty pension. They get paid $220,000 a year for the rest of their life. It's a fixed rate.
Wow.
Presidents and their immediate family members are honored with a state funeral. So if a president dies, if the president's wife dies, or if one of the president's children dies, they get their own state funeral. And I don't know if you've ever watched a presidential funeral, and you probably did because a couple years ago we lost George H.W. Bush and his wife, Barbara, and they had those funerals on television. Did you get to watch those and how that was set up? It was spectacular, wasn't
Very
it?
elaborate.
Very, very elaborate. But there you go. Those are the perks of a sitting president and a president once he leaves office.
That's a lot.
Living large for POTUS. I mean, who
Well,
wouldn't
and in
want to?
charge for a while.
Right. Probably a little bit of a downgrade for Trump because Trump's life was a lot more luxurious. But regardless of how rich you are, living the lifestyle of a president has to be more fascinating than just a normal rich lifestyle.
Yes.
There's got to be
'Cause
something to that.
Yes, because sincerely, like, you are in charge. He's in charge. He has the keys to the U.S.
Yeah.
There ain't no better feeling than that.
And the weapons of mass destruction, too.
Well,
So remember that on November the 3rd. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got one more segment to go here on Off the Cuff, and we'll be back after these words to talk about it.
It's our new reality with COVID-19. Physicians and public health professionals are trying to protect us because our healthcare system would be overwhelmed if too many people get seriously ill. We have to take their advice seriously. So, prepare, focus on the essentials. Protect, keep some space from people outside your home. And disinfect a lot. Get the facts at kycovid19.ky.gov. Prepare, protect, disinfect.
Have you been discriminated against in housing? Have you been told they won't rent to someone with children? Have you been treated differently because of your national origin? These are just a few examples of housing discrimination. The Lexington Human Rights Commission wants you to know your rights. You can visit lexhumanrights.org to file a complaint online or call 859-252-4931. We're local and there is no cost for our services. The Lexington Human Rights Commission. Your choice, your right, your home.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Last segment of the hour. Adam Banks here with you. Amber is also joining me. A little Addams Family theme. That was a great show. I used to watch this show every day when I got off the school bus. When I got off the school bus from Head Start, and my mama used to babysit me. She used to make me a big bowl of marshmallows, and I would sit there and watch the Addams Family after school.
that sounds like a good after-school snack.
And it was kind of a spooky show, too.
It was a spooky show.
It was intended to be spooky. I think it was funny, but it was a great show.
It was a great show.
Amber, before we go, there is a topic that I want to bring up, and this happened a couple weeks ago, and it involves a CNN lawyer. His name is Jeffrey Ross Toobin, and he is a lawyer, a blogger, an author, and a legal analyst for CNN and New Yorker. And he has been in the news lately because back in, I'd say mid-October, October the 19th as a matter of fact, he was suspended from his job at the New Yorker after he exposed himself and masturbated during an election scenario exercise conducted via Zoom video call between the New Yorker and WNYC radio staffers. So after reading more into the story, what had happened was Toobin was on a Zoom call with his company, his staff, and he told his staff to take a break, 5-10 minute break. And during his break, he decided to pleasure himself. And when he decided to do that, he forgot to turn his Zoom camera off. And everybody that was there, his staff, were there for the show. They just popped their popcorn and they watched. And it's not because they probably wanted to, but they had no choice. They were viewers of Toobin pleasuring himself. I couldn't think of something more mortifying
Grotesque.
and grotesque than that happening. One for Toobin. Imagine how horrified he is because he did not intend for that to happen. You know he didn't. You know he really thought his camera was off. You think it was?
Can't you just shut your monitor? Like, ain't that weird? Like looking at yourself.
It is, and I'm not saying that he should have taken more precaution and he should have went into another room, but I don't think that he thought it was up. Do you think he was doing that on purpose?
I mean, honestly, like I'm looking at it from like my perspective, I'm not going to do anything in front of my laptop at all, especially if I'm utilizing virtual environments to speak with other people, to even remotely like touch a part of my body, period.
Well, he did. And
Well,
he started going to town with the whole
gosh.
with everybody watching, and everybody saw him doing
ain't nobody
it.
screaming at him
Well,
on the Zoom.
that's what I was
Stop.
wondering. Stop it! Oh my God, Toobin! Pull your pants up!
What was that, Ray Stevens? The streak.
I
Don't
know.
look, Ethel!
Well-
Nobody was hollering.
When he got back from his meeting, when the meeting was over, and he got back in front of his computer, I guess he realized that his camera was available the entire time, and he was like, "Okay, meeting dismissed." But I would say his people told him once he got back on camera what they had just witnessed. And what do you do in that situation? I guess you just, what do you do after that situation? But it makes me think, Amber, the whole reason I even wanted to bring it up with you is, do people really have to pleasure themselves at random times during the day like that, even during a 10-minute work break? It makes you think, like, because we're all living in this virtual world now, and we're all talking to professionals via Zoom. So is that professional as soon as they get offline in between meetings with you? Or are they going into the bedroom and taking care of business? What are is that stuff happening?
Yes, obviously it is. I'm surprised this is the first one that we've kind of seen, even though, I experienced it myself this summer. I done a virtual internship, and there was a girl that took her camera into the shower, and she almost got out, and I was like, is nobody going to holler at this girl right now and tell her, yo, you about to show your birthday suit to
You're about
all
to
your
show.
peers?
You're about to show everything, yeah.
And she got out, and thankfully it only showed like from here up, but like the mortified look on this girl's face when she realized that she almost showed her goodies to everybody in this environment, that had to be mortifying. But at the same time, pay attention.
I have been on Zoom calls where I've had people on the Zoom call thinking they were mute, and they've said things that they didn't want to be said. But I have yet to be on a Zoom call where people were doing something that they didn't want seen, or at least it didn't appear that they didn't want it to be seen. But that can easily happen, especially if you are not familiar with how this technology works. Toobin was an older gentleman. I'm sure he wasn't real tech savvy.
Ooh.
So
This story ain't getting no better for him.
yeah, I'm not excusing him doing what he did.
Yeah.
But he has to pay that consequence. Even though he didn't intend for this to happen, he still has to deal with the consequences because he literally did something very inappropriate while his camera was opening. So, rule of thumb here, and let this be a lesson, make sure that your camera is always off and disabled and on mute. Just double check it when you're doing anything like that. And really, I would think that maybe needs to wait when you're not working and you're
Maybe
not...
leave that for your 30-minute lunch and not your 5-minute break.
Exactly. But Amber, I just wanted to share that story with everybody. Just be careful when you're on Zoom. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the 2020 World Series champs. They were crowned after beating the Rays. The big story there is one of the Dodger players had COVID, and everybody knew he had COVID. He had COVID, but he was still there at the game, and now he's getting a lot of flack because Justin Turner, not Amber Turner, but Justin Turner, was seen celebrating with his teammates, hugging and clapping and handshaking his teammates after the win, knowingly having COVID. So people are giving him a lot of flack over it.
Should.
And you know what, Amber? I agree. Why is it that people are like, well, he just won a World Series? Yeah, I get that. I do. I get that he just won a World Series and he's excited. But why should he be excused to be able to go hug people when everybody else can't go hug their sick mommy that they ain't seen in weeks? Because they're, so I'm not going to give athletes more special treatment than they already got. They got enough.
No.
So, Justin Turner, shame on you. I don't care if you won a World Series or not. You're rich anyway. I don't care if you won a World Series or not. You have COVID-19. Why would you go and knowingly be hugging people? I don't care how excited you are.
It don't matter how much money you got, how many World Series that you win. If you're out there potentially passing along a virus that has a fatality rate attached to it, you might not want to do that because it could be lasting you win.
Right. But yeah, people are really on the fence with it. You got some people saying what we are saying, then you got some people saying, no, I disagree with the fact that he's getting any type of flack for it. I think that he deserves it because he has COVID. He knowingly has it. It's a virus that is easily spread. So what if you hugged somebody that got COVID and took it home to their granny and their granny died from it?
Or their child.
Or their child. So shame on Justin Turner for that. But congrats to the LA Dodgers. What a year for LA. First the Lakers, now the Dodgers. They are dominating in sports. Cincinnati needs to take a chapter out of their book to learn how to win. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to wrap things up. And Amber, before we go, I just want to let everybody know that if they want to follow Amber on Twitter, they can do so by going to Ambu447 on all social media platforms. If you want to follow me, the host, you can follow me on all social media platforms at The Adam Banks. If you want to follow Off the Cuff, you can do that on Facebook and Instagram at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. Next week, it's a big show because we will know who the President of the United States is. We will know the results of the election, hopefully. And we will be here to talk about it. But ladies and gentlemen, be safe out there trick-or-treating.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. That is Amber Turner. I'm Adam Banks, and this is Off the Cuff. We'll see you next week, next Thursday, from 4 to 5.